Christmas Eve. My wife's entire family gathered at the most expensive restaurant in Manhattan. That's when she handed me divorce papers across the table and they all started laughing. But when I went to pay the bill, the waiter saw my black card and whispered, "Sir, you need to see something in the manager's office. It's about your wife and her brother. Please, come alone." What I discovered in the next 60 seconds changed everything. But before I continue, drop a comment below. Where are you watching this from? And have you ever been blindsided during the holidays? I want to know how far this story reaches. The reservation was for 7:30 p.m. Le Bernardin. 4 Michelin stars. $800 per person before wine. Monica had insisted on this restaurant specifically. It's Christmas Eve, David. My family deserves something special. You can afford it. I could afford it. That was always the point, wasn't it? After 12 years of marriage, I'd finally figured out what I was to the Chen family. Not a son-in-law. A bank account with a signature. I arrived at 7:15, early as always. Software engineering had taught me that punctuality meant being 5 minutes ahead. The restaurant glowed with understated elegance. White tablecloths, soft lighting, the kind of place where silence cost as much as the food. Monica's family was already there. Her parents, Robert and Linda Chen. Her brother Marcus and his wife Stephanie. Her youngest sister Jennifer. All seated at the private dining room I'd reserved. The one that had required a $5,000 deposit. I walked in and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Not literally, but the way they looked at me, like I was staff interrupting their meal. "David." Monica's voice was ice-wrapped in silk. She wore the Chanel dress I'd bought her last month. $8,000. Red, elegant, chosen specifically because she said it made her feel beautiful. Now I wondered if she'd picked it for this moment. Red for blood. "You're late." I checked my watch. 7:18. The reservation is for 7:30. When I say 7:15, I mean 7:15. She didn't look at me, just examined her manicured nails. Another $300 I'd paid for last week. I sat down in the empty chair they'd left at the end of the table. "Farthest from Monica." Marcus smirked. He always did that. That little superior smile that said he knew something I didn't. "So, David." Robert Chen leaned back in his chair. 63 years old, retired investment banker, living off the portfolio I'd helped him rebuild after his fame collapse in 2015. "Monica tells us you've been working late again, neglecting family time." "I've been closing a deal. The Singapore contract I mentioned at Thanksgiving. Always working." Linda shook her head, diamond earrings catching the light. "Christmas gift for me last year. $12,000. Marriage needs attention, David. You can't just throw money at it." The irony was so thick I could taste it. A waiter appeared. Young, mid-20s, nervous energy. He handed out menus with the careful precision of someone who knew these people could destroy him with a bad review. "Good evening. My name is James. I'll be taking care of you tonight." "Champagne," Marcus said without looking at the menu. "Dom Perignon 2008. 3 bottles to start." James nodded and disappeared. I did the math automatically. $2,100 just for the opening act. "David." Monica's voice cut through the murmur of conversation. Everyone stopped talking. She reached into her homie's bag. Black leather, $15,000, birthday present from his 6 months ago. She pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the table. It landed in front of me with a soft thud. "What's this?" "Open it." I looked around the table. 7 pairs of eyes watching me. Robert with his arms crossed. Linda with that pitying expression. Marcus still smirking. Stephanie looking uncomfortable, but saying nothing. Jennifer on her phone, barely interested. I opened the envelope. Divorce papers. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Filed 3 days ago. My name. Her name. 12 years reduced to legal boilerplate. "You're divorcing me." My voice came out flat. I felt numb, like I was watching this happen to someone else. "I think we both know this marriage has been over for a while." Monica sipped water from her crystal glass. Casual, like she was discussing the weather. "You're never home. You don't communicate. We've grown apart. I've been working to support." "To support what?" Marcus interrupted. "Your ego? You need to feel important. Monica doesn't need your money, David. Our family takes care of its own." The champagne arrived. James popped the corks with professional efficiency. Poured 7 glasses. I watched the bubbles rise and wondered when my life had turned into theater. I don't understand. I looked at Monica. Really looked at her. Tried to find the woman I'd married 12 years ago. The grad student who'd loved hiking and cheap Thai food and Sunday mornings in bed. Why now? Why here? Because you need to understand something. She met my eyes finally. Cold. So cold. This is my family. These are my people. You are always just temporary. They laughed. All of them except Stephanie, who looked down at her plate. Robert's booming laugh. Linda's tinkling giggle. Marcus's cruel chuckle. Jennifer finally looked up from her phone to smack. Poor David, Jennifer said. Did you really think you belonged here? Something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice on a frozen lake when the temperature rises just enough. I want you to sign tonight, Monica continued. I've been generous in the settlement. You keep your retirement accounts. I keep the apartment, the house in the Hamptons, and half of your stock portfolio. It's fair. Fair. The apartment I'd bought before we met. The Hampton house I'd purchased with my signing bonus from Google. The stock portfolio I'd built from scratch. And if I don't sign, then this gets ugly. Robert leaned forward. We have documentation of your emotional absence. Your neglect. Monica's therapist will testify to the psychological damage. We'll drag this through court for years. Cost you millions in legal fees. Or you can sign tonight, walk away with something, and we all move on. The waiter returned. Are we ready to order? Give us a few minutes, Monica said sweetly. Then back to me, voice sharp. What's it going to be, David? I looked at the papers. The signature line. The pen she placed on top of the envelope. A Mont Blanc. The one I'd given her for our 10th anniversary. I need to think about this. Think fast. Marcus checked his Rolex. Gold. $40,000. Wedding gift from me when he married Stephanie. Some of us have places to be. We're not spending all night watching you have a crisis. Order your food, I said quietly. I need to use the restroom. I stood up. My legs felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. I walked out of the private dining room into the main restaurant. The noise hit me. Silverware clinking. Conversations humming. Normal people having normal Christmas Eve dinners. Not whatever horror show I'd just left. The restroom was down a hallway past the kitchen. I pushed through the door, locked myself in a stall, and sat down on the closed toilet seat. 12 years. Gone. Just like that. I pulled out my phone. Opened my banking app. The checking account showed $47,000. Savings had $230,000. Investment account with Vanguard, $2.3 million. Stock portfolio, $8.7 million, mostly from my early equity in 3 startups that had gone public. Then I opened the joint account, the one Monica had insisted we needed for household expenses. The one I'd been depositing $15,000 into every month for the last 5 years. Balance, $485. I stayed at that number. Refreshed the app. Still $485. Where was the money? Where was the $900,000 that should have been there? My hands shook. I opened the transaction history. Withdrawals. Hundreds of them. $5,000 here. $10,000 there. $50,000 to M. Chen Personal, $75,000 to Chen Family Trust. Transfer after transfer. All made by Monica. All going to accounts I'd never authorized. The bathroom door opened. Someone entered. I heard footsteps, then a knock on my stall. Sir, are you David Thornton? I opened the door. The waiter. James. He looked nervous. Scared, even. I need you to come with me. Please. The manager needs to see you. It's about your wife. What about my wife? Please, sir. Just come. Don't let them know where you're going. Something in his voice. Urgent. Desperate. I followed him out of the bathroom, but not back toward the dining room. He led me through a service corridor, past the kitchen, to a small office in the back. Knocked twice. Come in, a woman's voice called. The office was tiny. Desk, computer, filing cabinets. A woman in her 50s sat behind the desk. Elegant, professional. Manager's pin on her lapel. Mr. Thornton, please sit down. I'm Catherine Mills, General Manager. She gestured to James. Thank you. Wait outside. James left, closing the door. Ms. Mills, I don't understand. Your wife and her brother have been coming here for 6 months. She turned her computer screen toward me. They have a regular table. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Always the same time. Always the same request. The screen showed reservations. Monica Chen and Marcus Chen. Every Tuesday and Thursday since June. Private dining room. Tables for 2. I don't understand. Why are you showing me this? Because 3 weeks ago, I overheard something I couldn't ignore. She pulled a small recording device from her drawer. Old-fashioned. Analog. Our security cameras have audio in the private rooms. It's for insurance purposes, liability protection. I was reviewing footage from a complaint when I heard this. She pressed play. Monica's voice came through, crystal clear. And once he signs the papers, the accounts are ours. Dad's lawyer confirmed it. Joint assets split 50-50, but with a prenup clause about abandonment. We get the Hampton house clean. Marcus's voice. You sure he won't fight it? Is too proud. And too stupid. He thinks we're his family. He actually believes we love him. What about the Singapore deal? He closes that next month. $3.2 million commission. I filed the final papers January 2nd. Half of that is mine before he even knows it hit his account. Beautiful. And the Chen Family Trust. Already moved $900,000 from the joint account. He never checks it. Just keeps depositing like clockwork. Easiest money we ever made. Dad's going to be so proud. Dad's been planning this since the wedding. Why do you think we pushed for the joint account? 12 years of setup for one big payday. After the divorce settles, we're looking at $6 million minimum. Plus the properties. Plus his stock portfolio if we can prove abandonment. Can you prove it? I've been documenting every late night, every missed dinner. My therapist is on our side. It's airtight. Jesus, Monica, you're cold. I learned from the best. Dad didn't rebuild his fortune by being nice. He rebuilt it by being smart. And David was always just an investment. Now it's time to cash out. They laughed. Both of them. Casual. Like they were discussing stock options. The recording clicked off. I sat there. The office walls seemed to close in. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. How long is that recording? My voice sounded distant. 4 to 7 minutes. I have 3 other recordings from different dates. All similar content. They've been planning this for months, possibly years. Catherine leaned forward. Mr. Thornton, I don't know you, but I couldn't let this happen. What they're doing is fraud. Possibly criminal conspiracy. Why are you helping me? Her expression softened. My ex-husband did something similar. Cleaned out our accounts before filing. I lost everything because I didn't know until it was too late. I swore I'd never watch someone else go through that if I could help it. I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app again, looked at that $485 balance in the joint account. I need copies of everything. Already done. She handed me a USB drive. All the recordings. All the reservation records. Timestamps, dates, everything. I also called a friend of mine. Her name is Rebecca Santos. She's one of the best divorce attorneys in New York. She's waiting for your call. She handed me a business card. Rebecca Santos, Family Law. A phone number. Mr. Thornton, you have maybe 2 hours before your wife expects an answer. I suggest you use them wisely. I stood up. My legs were steadier now. The numbness was gone. Something else had replaced it. Something cold and calculating. Thank you. I don't know how to repay. Win. That's how you repay me. Take everything they plan to take from you and make sure they never do this to anyone else. I left the office, walked back through the service corridor, but I didn't go back to the dining room. I went outside into the December cold. Manhattan sparkled with Christmas lights. Couples walking hand in hand. Families laughing. Normal people having normal holidays. I dialed the number on the card. 3 rings. Rebecca Santos. Ms. Santos, my name is David Thornton. Catherine Mills from Le Bernardin gave me your number. I have about 90 minutes before my wife expects me to sign divorce papers. I need your help. Tell me everything. I did. The papers. The public humiliation. The joint account drained. The recordings. All of it. I spoke for 20 minutes straight while Rebecca listened without interrupting. When I finished, silence. Then, Mr. Thornton, are you somewhere private? I'm standing outside the restaurant. Good. Here's what's going to happen. First, you're going to go back in there and tell your wife you need to read the papers carefully. You're not signing anything tonight. Second, you're going to be calm, collected, and boring. Don't let them know you know anything. Third, you're going to meet me at my office at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bring the USB drive, your banking records, and any other documentation you have. Can you do that? Yes. David, I need you to understand something. What they did with the joint account, if you can prove they moved funds with intent to defraud, that's not just a civil matter. That's criminal. We're talking about fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Are you prepared to take this all the way? I thought about Monica's cold eyes, Marcus's smirk, Robert's calculated manipulation, Linda's fake pity, 12 years of being used, 12 years of thinking I was building a family when I was really just funding a con. All the way, I said, whatever it takes. Good. Now go back in there and be the man they think you are. Weak, confused, easy to manipulate. Tomorrow, we show them who you really are. I hung up and stood there for a moment. The cold air burned my lungs. Felt good. Felt real. Then I walked back into Le Bernardin, through the main dining room, down the hallway, into the private room where 7 people sat eating appetizers that probably cost more than most people's car payments. Monica looked up. There you are. We were about to send someone to find you. Did you get lost? I was thinking. I sat down. I need time to review these papers. I'm not signing anything tonight. The temperature dropped again. Robert's face darkened. Marcus stopped eating. That's not how this works, Monica said. We had an agreement. We never had an agreement. You handed me papers 30 minutes ago. I'm not signing legal documents without reviewing them. That's not negotiable. David. Robert's voice carried warning. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm not making anything hard. I'm being responsible. You all people should appreciate that. Marcus threw his napkin on the table. This is bullshit. Just sign the papers. No. One word. But it changed everything. They weren't used to me saying no. 12 years of yes, of course, whatever you need. They'd forgotten I knew how to refuse. Fine. Monica's jaw clenched. Take your time. But the terms don't change. And David, don't do anything stupid. You fight this. We have lawyers who will bury you. I understand. I picked up my menu. Should we order? I'm starving. The dinner was torture. 3 hours of passive-aggressive comments. Marcus telling stories about Monica's old boyfriends. Linda discussing all the ways I'd disappointed them. Robert explaining how I'd never really fit into their family. Jennifer ignoring everyone to text. I ate my food. Said nothing. Let them think they'd won. The bill came. $14,760. I handed James my Black American Express card. The Centurion card. The one that required $250,000 in annual spending to qualify. He took it and disappeared. Jesus, David. Marcus shook his head. Even now you're showing off. Black card. Trying to prove something. Just paying the bill. James returned, but instead of the receipt, he handed me a small note under the credit card slip. I palmed it casually while signing. Back at your office tomorrow, 9 a.m. Catherine already called ahead. Good luck. I added a $5,000 tip. James deserved it. Merry Christmas, I said to the table. I'll be in touch about the papers. I left before anyone could respond. Walked out into the Manhattan night. Found a cab. Gave the driver my address in Tribeca. The apartment was dark when I got home. Our apartment. Soon to be just my apartment again. I turned on the lights and looked around. Everything Monica had chosen. The furniture, the art, the color scheme, all her decisions with my money. I went to my office, locked the door, opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Screenshots of the joint account, copies of every deposit I'd made, transaction records, dates and amounts. I worked until 3 a.m., building a timeline of the fraud. The recordings from Catherine were even worse on the second listen. Monica and Marcus discussing how to maximize the settlement, how to hide assets, how to make me look neglectful. Every manipulation carefully planned, every emotional moment manufactured. At one point on the third recording, Monica said, "The Christmas Eve divorce was your idea, Dad. You said the holidays make him emotional. Easier to break him down when he's already vulnerable." Planned. All of it. The restaurant. The timing. The public humiliation. Psychological warfare disguised as family dinner. I finally fell asleep around 4 a.m., woke up at 7. Showered. Dressed in my best suit. Armani. Navy blue. I looked at myself in the mirror. 12 years ago, I'd been a 28-year-old programmer with a startup dream and student loans. Now I was 40, worth north of $10 million, and about to fight for everything I'd built. Rebecca Santos's office was in Midtown. Glass Tower. 38th floor. I arrived at 8:55 with a USB drive, printed banking records, and the divorce papers Monica had given me. The receptionist smiled. "Mr. Thornton, Ms. Santos is expecting you." Rebecca's office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. She stood from her desk as I entered. Latina, mid-40s, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore a power suit that cost more than Monica's Chanel dress. "David, sit." We shook hands. Her grip was firm. "Show me everything." I handed over the USB drive, the banking records, the divorce papers. She plugged the drive into her computer and started the first recording. Listened to the whole thing. No expression, just intense focus. When it finished, she looked at me. "This is worse than I thought." "Much worse." "How bad?" "The joint account alone, moving $900,000 without your knowledge or consent. That's grand larceny. New York Penal Code 155.42. Class B felony. 5 to 25 years in prison." She pulled up the divorce papers. "And these terms. She's trying to claim abandonment to bypass your prenup. But if we can prove she fabricated the abandonment claim while actively defrauding you, every judge in Manhattan will crucify her." "What do I do?" "First, we file for emergency relief. Freeze all joint assets. Stop her from moving any more money. Second, we file criminal complaints for fraud and embezzlement. Let the DA's office handle prosecution. Third, we rip this divorce petition apart and file our own. You keep everything. She gets nothing. Not the apartment, not the Hamptons house, not 1 cent of your portfolio. Can we win?" Rebecca smiled. It reminded me of Catherine's smile. Cold. Strategic. "David, this isn't about winning. This is about sending a message. What Monica and her family did is criminal. We're not just beating them. We're destroying them. When do we start?" "Right now." She picked up her phone. "I'm calling Judge Martinez. She owes me a favor. We'll have an emergency hearing by end of day. Freeze everything. Then tomorrow, we meet with the DA. After that, we'll let the dominoes fall." She made 3 phone calls while I sat there. Efficient. Precise. Within an hour, we had a hearing scheduled for 4 p.m. emergency petition to freeze all marital assets pending fraud investigation. "Now comes the fun part," Rebecca said. "We let your wife know you're not playing along." She drafted an email. I read it twice before approving. "Monica, after reviewing the divorce petition you presented last night, I must decline to sign. I've retained legal counsel and discovered significant irregularities in our financial accounts. Specifically, the unauthorized removal of $900,000 from our joint account. I've filed an emergency petition to freeze all marital assets pending investigation. You should receive notice from the court within the hour. I've also forwarded relevant documentation to the district attorney's office regarding potential fraud. Any further contact should go through my attorney, Rebecca Santos." "David, that's going to detonate like a bomb," Rebecca said. "You ready?" "Send it." She hit send. We waited. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. "Monica." I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. "Marcus." Voicemail. "Robert." Voicemail. Rebecca's phone started ringing. "That'll be their lawyer. Right on schedule." She answered. "Rebecca Santos." "Yes, I'm representing David Thornton." "No, he will not be signing anything. Because your client's committed fraud." I suggest you speak with them about the $900,000. We'll see you in court at 4 p.m. She hung up and smiled. They are panicking. Good. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Text from Monica. You're making a mistake. This will get ugly. You have no idea what you're doing. Call me now. I blocked her number. Blocked Marcus. Blocked Robert and Linda. Blocked Jennifer. What happens at the hearing? I asked. Judge Martinez will review our petition. The bank records show clear and authorized transfers. She'll freeze everything immediately. Joint account, any accounts with both names, even accounts where Monica has power of attorney. Everything stops moving until we sort this out. And the criminal investigation. That's slower. But with recordings like these, DA will move fast. Fraud involving amounts over $100,000 gets priority. Monica and Marcus could be looking at indictments within weeks. What about her family? Robert and Linda? If we can prove they conspired, which these recordings suggest, they are all exposed. But we start with Monica and Marcus. Cut off the head of the snake first. The hearing was at 4 p.m. Manhattan Family Court. I sat in the gallery while Rebecca presented our case. Monica's lawyer, a sharp-dressed man named Theodore Brennan, tried to argue that I'd had equal access to the joint account. Rebecca destroyed him in 3 minutes. Your Honor, the recordings clearly show premeditation and conspiracy to defraud. Mrs. Chen and her brother discuss moving funds specifically to hide them from Mr. Thornton before filing divorce. This isn't a marital dispute about finances. This is criminal fraud. Judge Martinez, a stained woman in her 60s, listened to the recordings. Her expression grew darker with each minute. I've heard enough. She looked at Brennan. Counsel, your client moved $900,000 from a joint account without her husband's knowledge, documented her intent to hide these funds, and filed for divorce to circumvent a prenuptial agreement. Did I miss anything? Brennan stammered. Your Honor, there may be context. Context? I heard your client laughing about it. Judge Martinez signed the order. All marital assets are frozen effective immediately. Both parties are enjoined from moving, hiding, or disposing of any property, accounts, or valuables. Mr. Brennan, I suggest your client hire a criminal attorney because I'm forwarding this recording to the DA's office myself. The gavel came down. We won. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca pulled me aside. That was the easy part. Now it gets messy. Monica will fight. Her family will pressure you. They'll try to make deals. Do not engage. Everything goes through me. Understood. Go home. Rest. We have a lot of work ahead. I took a cab back to Tribeca. The apartment felt different now. Not like a prison anymore. Like a battlefield I was winning. My phone had 47 missed calls. 89 text messages. All from Monica, her family, numbers I didn't recognize. I deleted all of it without reading. Then I ordered Chinese food and sat on my couch watching Christmas movies. Die Hard. The best Christmas movie. Bruce Willis knew how to fight back. 2 days later, the DA filed charges. Monica Chen and Marcus Chen, charged with grand larceny, fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Robert and Linda Chen were named as co-conspirators under investigation. The news hit the Manhattan social circuit like a nuclear bomb. The Chen family, once respected in investment banking circles, now facing criminal charges. Monica's friends disappeared. Marcus lost his job at Goldman Sachs within 48 hours. Robert's remaining clients fled. Rebecca filed our divorce counterpetition. David Thornton versus Monica Chen. Grounds: fraud, abandonment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We requested everything. The Tribeca apartment. The Hamptons house. Full stop portfolio. Plus $2 million in damages for emotional distress and fraud. We won't get all of it, Rebecca explained. But we start high. Force them to negotiate from a position of weakness. Monica's new lawyer, Brennan, had quit. Tried to arrange a meeting. Wanted to negotiate. No, I told Rebecca. Let it go to trial. I want a jury to hear those recordings. You sure? Trial is expensive. Could take a year. I'm sure. 3 weeks later, Monica broke. Her lawyer called Rebecca. They wanted to settle. Monica would give up all claims to the apartment, the Hamptons house, and the stock portfolio. She'd return the $900,000 from the joint account. In exchange, we'd drop the request for damages and she'd plead to reduce charges on the criminal case. What do you think? Rebecca asked. I thought about Christmas Eve. The laughter, the calculated cruelty. 12 years of manipulation culminating in public humiliation. Counteroffer. She returns the $900,000 plus $500,000 in penalties. She pleads guilty to the original charges, no reduction. She signs a confession admitting the fraud. And she pays my legal fees. $175,000 so far. That's aggressive. That's fair. She tried to steal $6 million from me. I'm being generous. Rebecca made the call. Monica's lawyer sputtered, called it unreasonable, threatened to take it to trial. See you in court, Rebecca said and hung up. 2 days before the criminal trial was set to begin, Monica's lawyer called again. She agreed to everything. All of it. The money, the guilty plea, the confession, the legal fees. We met in Rebecca's conference room. Monica sat across from me for the first time since Christmas Eve. She looked different. Smaller somehow. No designer dress. No perfect makeup. Just tired and defeated. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I didn't respond. Just watched her sign document after document. The property transfers. The financial agreements. The confession. David, please. Say something. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Tried to remember what I'd loved about this person 12 years ago. I hope it was worth it, I said finally. Everything you gave up for $900,000 that you'll have to pay back anyway. She started crying. Real tears this time. Not the manufactured ones from before. It wasn't my idea. It was my father's. He said you were weak. That we could. I don't care whose idea it was. You did it. You laughed about it. You made me believe I was the problem for 12 years. I stood up. We're done here. Rebecca, I'll wait outside. The divorce was finalized in March. I kept everything. Monica moved back in with her parents in Queens. Marcus took a plea deal, probation, and restitution. Robert and Linda weren't charged criminally, but their reputation was destroyed. I sold the Hampton house. Too many bad memories. Used the money to start a foundation for fraud victims. Named it the Catherine Mills Foundation, after the restaurant manager who'd saved me. 6 months after the divorce, I was having dinner in the same private dining room at Le Bernardin. But this time, I was alone. James was my waiter again. Good evening, Mr. Thornton. It's good to see you back. You too, James. How have you been? Good. Really good. Actually, I wanted to thank you. The tip you left that night, it helped me start culinary school. I'm training to be a chef now. That's wonderful. Congratulations. And sir, Catherine wanted me to give you this. He handed me a small envelope. She said you'd understand. Inside was a photo. Catherine shaking hands with a woman. Behind them, a banner. Grand opening, Catherine's restaurant. The card read, "Thank you for the inspiration. Turns out surviving makes you stronger. CM." I smiled. She'd opened her own place. Good for her. Tell her congratulations from me. I will, sir. Now, what can I get you tonight? I ordered the tasting menu. 8 courses. $450. Worth every penny. As I ate, I thought about Christmas Eve. How it had felt like the end of everything. How Monica had been so confident, so sure I'd break. She'd been wrong. You don't build a career in software without learning how to debug. Find the problem. Isolate it. Fix it. Eliminate the error. Monica and her family were the error. Removing them from my life wasn't cruel. It was necessary maintenance. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Is this David Thornton? My name is Sarah. I'm friends with Catherine Mills. She suggested I reach out. I'm going through something similar to what you experienced. Could we talk? I stayed at the message for a moment. Then typed back, call me tomorrow. I'll help however I can. Because that's what you do when you survive. You reach back and pull others through. The waiter brought the next course. Lobster and brown butter. Perfect. I raised my glass of wine to the empty room. Merry Christmas, I said quietly. To new beginnings. 1 year later, I stood in front of a conference room full of people, 20 men and women who'd all been victims of financial fraud by spouses or family members. The Catherine Mills Foundation had brought them together. Monthly support group, legal resources, financial counseling. My name is David, I said. And a year ago, my wife handed me divorce papers on Christmas Eve while her family laughed. They planned to steal everything I'd built. But a restaurant manager I'd never met decided to help. One act of courage changed everything. I told them about the recordings, the frozen accounts, the criminal charges, the victory. The point isn't revenge, I said. It's survival. It's refusing to be a victim. It's understanding that protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. After the meeting, a woman approached me, mid-30s, nervous. Mr. Thornton, my husband has been moving money from our accounts. I found statements, but I'm scared. He says I'm being paranoid. Do you have documentation? Screenshots, bank records, some text messages. Good. Keep collecting evidence. Don't confront him yet. Call this number. I handed her Rebecca's card. Tell her I sent you. She'll help. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I was starting to think I was crazy. You're not crazy. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. I watched her leave, card clutched in her hand. Another person saved from making the same mistakes I almost made. My phone rang. Rebecca. David, you sitting down. Should I be? Robert Chen was just indicted. Federal charges. Turns out he'd been running an investment fraud scheme separate from the divorce situation. SEC has been investigating for months. They found evidence while looking into your case. How bad? $40 million in fraudulent investments. Is looking at 20 years minimum. I sat down. $40 million. Jesus. Gets better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Monica's on the witness list. Prosecution thinks she helped. They are offering her immunity to testify against her father. Will she take it? Would you testify against your own father? I thought about Christmas Eve. The calculated cruelty. The laughter. If I'd learned anything from that family, it would be to save myself first. She'll testify. Probably. Anyway, thought you'd want to know. The gift that keeps giving. After we hung up, I sat in my new office, new building, startup incubator I'd founded and thought about the chain of events. One moment of courage from a restaurant manager. One USB drive of recordings. One decision to fight back instead of fold. Butterfly effect. Catherine had opened her restaurant. It was thriving. James was her sous chef now, working toward his own place. Rebecca had taken on 6 more fraud cases, all referrals from my foundation. The woman from tonight's support group would get help before it was too late. And me? I was free. Truly free for the first time in 12 years. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah, the woman Catherine had referred to me months ago. We'd become friends. Just friends, but there was something there. Potential. Coffee tomorrow. There's a new place in Brooklyn I want to try. I smiled and typed back. Sounds perfect. 10 a.m. See you then. I looked around my office. Photos on the wall. Catherine at her restaurant opening. James in his chef's whites. Rebecca accepting an award for pro bono work. 20 people from the support group at our first anniversary dinner. A family photo from 12 years ago. I kept it as a reminder of what manipulation looked like. And one new photo. Me, standing in front of the foundation headquarters. Smiling. Really smiling. The inscription below read, The Catherine Mills Foundation. Because one act of courage can change everything. I turned off the lights and headed home. My home. My space. My life. Tomorrow, I'd have coffee with someone who understood loss and survival. Maybe it would turn into something. Maybe it wouldn't. Either way, I was okay. Because I'd learned the most important lesson. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you will hurt you the most. But there are strangers who will save you without asking for anything in return. And that makes all the difference. The elevator descended. 38 floors. As I reached the lobby, my phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then curiosity won. Mr. Thornton, this is Detective Ramirez, NYPD Financial Crimes Unit. We got your name from the DA's office. I'm working a case that sounds similar to what happened to you. Family fraud, hidden assets. Could you spare some time this week to talk? I smiled. Of course. How can I help? We have a victim who's too scared to press charges. Thinks his family will retaliate. I thought maybe hearing from someone who survived it might help. Absolutely. Send me the details. I'll make time. Thank you, Mr. Thornton. This means a lot. I walked out into the Manhattan evening. Spring air, warm and full of possibility. The city glowed around me. Millions of people, millions of stories, some of them probably just like mine. But they didn't have to end like mine started. They could end like mine finished. With victory, with justice, with peace. I hailed a cab and headed home, already thinking about the detective's call. Another person to help. Another story to change. One act of courage at a time. That's all it takes. That's all it ever takes. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced betrayal from family? How did you handle it? I want to hear your stories. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into.